Welcome to the ISO vlog. I've been getting pretty bored in this 6-week lockdown, so I figured I might film a few things that I've been doing to keep myself busy. Mainly maintenance on the equipment, so I'll show you around and we'll film a few things. Basically all there is to servicing these digger auger drives, as far as I'm aware, is cracking this. It's an 8mm internal like hex nut, Allen key sort of nut. Just got to, or grub screw even really, just got to take that out, spin the auger drive over and just dump the oil out of there. It is a bit tight after I just repainted this whole thing because I sprayed bit inside the nut accidentally, so the 8mm should feel a bit looser and easy to get into if you're doing it. So that's it. Looks pretty tidy in there, I think. Soon find out. Milky. I reckon there's been some water in there. It's hard to do this one-handed without getting it all over the joint. But that's not great. It's certainly not golden, but it's probably not too bad. We'll might even flush it out with a bit of diesel and some lighter weight oil before we put the new stuff in there. So what I usually do with my engines and transmissions and stuff when I'm servicing them is, if I know that the oil is going to be a bit contaminated, I'll flush it out after I've dropped the oil. I'll flush it out with a diesel and a lighter weight oil mix and then run it. So if it's an engine like on my Hilux, I sometimes do it, I'll run it for 10 or 15 minutes and just get that lighter, that mix running through the engine, because the diesel's a solvent. So it'll break down and thin out all the engine oil and stuff that's clinging to the sides of the sump or on the bottom of the sump or anything like that. Just get everything to come out the bottom, so that when you put your new oil in, it's not going to then just pick up all those contaminants, dirt, if it's small chunks of metal and whatnot. So I'll do it with this, and I probably will hook up the lines to the excavator and just get the gears turning over so it sloshes around and cleans it all up. Drop it out again, and then I'll put the special, I've got the auger drive oil change kit here from Digger. I'll just get the, it's a 320 gear oil, 1 litre of it. I think you only use about 3/4 of this bottle, and I'll chuck that in afterwards, but I'll give it a good flush out first so we're not wasting our time here. So I've mixed up a bit of diesel and engine oil, just the same stuff that I use in my Hilux. You do have to be careful if you're going to do this same thing, flushing out your full drive. You don't want to let the car, once you've poured the mixture in there, run for too long, because diesel is a solvent. It will break down your rubber gaskets and everything, seals and everything. So you want to be relatively quick getting it in and getting it out, because it'll dry them out and then you'll end up with issues. So just mix it up, nice clean golden, pour it in there. This is a 1 litre jug and I think it takes 750ml or something, so I won't put it all in there. It's about, I did about a 2/3 diesel to 1/3 oil mix. Usually you'd probably want to keep it a bit more 50-50, I'd say. And once I've got this in here, I'll hook up the lines to the excavator, and it will just rotate the auger head around, get all the gears cycling through and clean them all off of the old oil, and we'll drop it out, put the new stuff in, and we're good to go. So I've got the excavator hooked up to the auger motor now, and I'll just get it all flushing through. I've dropped the flushed oil now. It did come out a bit dirtier than when it went in, so it shows that it has actually done the job and brought a bit of extra contaminants and whatnot with it. I did notice I was just pouring it into a old jerry can that I put all my sump oil and stuff in, that it did have a bit of a metallic sparkle through the oil, which makes me think the gears are grinding a little bit. There may be a bit of damage in the gearbox. So I'll get rid of this, and then before I pour the new gear oil in, I'll undo all these bolts, and I'm pretty sure the gears are just right there, so we'll have a look at that, look for any damage. So I decided against taking it all apart and getting into the gears, just because I don't really want to have to muck around with getting it back together again, if I'm honest. So we'll just chuck this new oil in, and then we'll move on to replacing the halogen light on the excavator with an LED light. So we need to turn the auger drive motor around till it's at about 60 degrees, and then we'll fill up the oil from there. The paint has already started to come off this motor, which is a bit annoying, but still better than it was. This is the last of the halogen lights on the excavator that I haven't changed over yet. I'm going to be swapping it to the same type of LED as I used up here. They're just brighter, they work better. So that just pulls off like that. Make sure you're using your own initiative when you're doing this kind of thing, so obviously make sure there's no keys in the ignition and the power's not on, so don't electrocute yourself. But pretty much we just cut straight through it. I'm not an auto elec or a sparky or anything, so I'm just doing what I know. I have spoken to a couple of guys that know what they're doing, so we're not being too dangerous here. I kind of cringe when I have to cut this off because I hate dodgy wiring and stuff. You don't want to be stripping any more insulation than you have to, so generally I'll go for 10 to sort of 12 mil. Strip the same off both lots of cable that you're connecting, so that way you're not risking uninsulated wires, and it also means when you go to put some some shrink tubing on there, you don't have to use more than you really need. Cool, that's all done. So I've got some shrink tubing here of various diameters. Make sure you cut these to length and you put them on before you solder these, otherwise you won't be able to shrink it up. I've got the shrink tube on and the wires intertwined, twisted together. Probably going to get some hate for how I've done these, because I know it's one of those topics where, or one of those things where everyone's got their certain way. Just trying to get this to focus, because I don't think that's focused. Hopefully you get the picture. Anyway, we'll clamp it back up here and we'll wait for the soldering iron to heat up, and then we'll get it all connected. That looks alright. Got a couple of good blobs of solder on there. Might put a bit more on there actually, on that black cable. That should be fine. I've got the positive and negative wires both soldered up, and a length of shrink tube over the top. So we'll just carefully get them going, heat them up. You don't want to heat the one spot too much, otherwise it'll just burn rather than shrink. You want to shrink it pretty evenly. And they will actually catch on fire, because I have done that before. Now the real test is if these lights actually work. Yes, sweet. That's heaps better than the old halogen lights. They're just a really weak yellow light. This is going to be stacks better. I might even eventually put another light bar or something up across there, but for now, that's it. So that'll be good. So that's the end of this ISO vlog. Bit of maintenance and upgrades on the equipment. Hopefully we get back to work soon. I think there's about a week and a half, basically end of next weekend. Oh, sorry, weekend after this weekend, we go back to work and start making money again. I've been kept pretty busy with this lockdown. There's plenty of paperwork and everything inside, but yeah, the weather's starting to come good, so it'd be good to smash over some projects that we've had in the planning for a fair while. Take care.